Good evening. My name is Terrie Graham, and on behalf of Adolescent Consultation Services and the Board of Directors, welcome to the 2023 Heal, Grow, and Thrive Fall event, which happens to be our 50th anniversary. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. I am honored to be on the board of directors for ACS, and I just wanted to share like a little nugget. I was born and raised in New York City in a neighborhood known as, here we go, the judge, in a neighborhood known as Hell's Kitchen. Well, Hell's Kitchen is fancy now, but it wasn't fancy when I was growing up 100 years ago. And some of the kids who, quote, made it out of the neighborhood did very well. And others, unfortunately, became entangled in the juvenile justice system, which for Hell's Kitchen, it was Rikers. So when I think about the work that ACS does, the work that the social workers, the mental health providers do every day to change the lives of young people, to me, it feels like some of the most important work we can do. With that, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Leah Kelly, our Executive Director. Leah has been at the helm of ACS for 7 years. During her tenure, she has demonstrated unwavering leadership in the face of some of the most challenging times in our recent history. Leah's leadership was tested as she guided ACS through the global pandemic and the severe shortage in behavioral health workforce. Despite these challenges, Leah has been an example of stability and resiliency. Under Leah's guidance, ACS has focused on expanding our treatment services to better respond to the unique and evolving needs of the children that we serve. Leah aspires for ACS to be a more immediate solution to the lengthy wait lists to see mental health providers and increasingly complex and urgent needs of children involved in the juvenile justice system. So with that, I'll bring up Leah.
Three years ago, I didn't need glasses. just saying. Pandemic. Thank you so much, Terrie. That was a lovely introduction. And thank you all so much. Welcome to Heal, Grow, and Thrive. The other thing is it's not raining. And for those of you who have joined us for the past few events, it has, I think, rained for 7 years. So I just say thank you for this omen and this beautiful space. So thank you. So we are here tonight to celebrate a half century of serving children and adolescents throughout the Commonwealth. We're here to honor ACS's history, visionary leaders, extraordinary staff, loyal supporters, and a steadfast commitment to providing help and hope to thousands of kids and families. I have a lot of people to thank. First, thank you so much to GBH and their fantastic team for hosting us tonight, and to Sam's Spot for catering the delicious food and beverage, which I will try at some point if there's some left. We did ask for extra. We are so honored to have with us tonight Attorney General Andrea Campbell. And we are thrilled to be honoring Judge Gail Garinger. haven't had a chance to speak to every single person, but I have seen at least a few of our current and past judges. So thank you so much for joining us tonight after what I'm sure was a long day. I'd also like to sincerely thank our sponsors this evening. Our leader sponsors are Bill and Margaret Payne and Leah and Bill Porvu. And our champion sponsors are East Cambridge Savings Bank and Liz Keating. We are also incredibly grateful for our many private, corporate, and individual donors who make our work possible, as well as our longstanding partnership with the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health and the trial court. I'd also like to thank the ACS Board of Directors for their generosity of expertise, guidance, and support. And an enormous thank you goes to Robin Eastwood. Where's Robin? There she is. As most of you know, Robin is our Director of Development and Event Planner Extraordinaire. After 3 years of navigating all of the headaches of hosting virtual events, mastering everything, and then switching back, she has not missed a beat, not missed a detail of planning this lovely in-person event at GBH tonight. I will also share Robin's kind mother and sister are responsible for the beautiful centerpieces on the table. It's a family affair. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge and thank our extraordinary staff who are throughout the room, who do such important and challenging work every day. And without them, we wouldn't have cause to celebrate. So if you see some of our staff, we have badges, please say hello to any of our staff. So when I was preparing my remarks for this evening, I will be honest, it was a little bit daunting. How do you capture 50 years of impact in just a few minutes? I wondered, what is the significance of the number 50 aside from the golden wedding anniversary and it being an impressive round number? So as you do, I sought some help from the internet. I learned a lot of random facts, but 2 discoveries resonated the most with me. The first was the theme of reflection from the present, of celebrating past accomplishments while embracing change and looking toward the future. I've thought about all the ways in which ACS has evolved and grown over 5 decades, and many of you in this room have been here for those changes. So many things have changed over time, from the laws that govern the juvenile court system to the increasingly complex needs of the kids and families that we serve. Then throw in a global pandemic, a prolonged staffing crisis, and like it or not, you see what you're made of as an organization. But I think that navigating these challenges highlights one of the superpowers that has contributed to ACS's longevity, and that is adaptability. When folks registered for tonight, you may recall the opportunity was given to list 5 words to describe ACS. In addition to adaptability, I'm going to share just a few of the responses that we received. Critical, indispensable, essential advocacy for kids, and a steadfast, life-altering resource. This last one brought to mind something that happened a couple of years ago. One of our clinicians had developed a pre and post survey for one of the teen psychoed groups that we offer. And we're always looking at evaluating our programming, wanting to be as effective as possible. And we wanted to collect some feedback from the teen participants. So the clinician had devised a 5-point rating scale that went from 1, which represented worst experience ever, to 5, representing life-changing. Now, bear in mind, the term life-changing was most definitely intended in the tongue-in-cheek sense. We do work with teenagers. They would generally not describe anything as life-changing, particularly not anything therapeutic or good for them. And we were really looking to solicit a chuckle or an eye roll. So imagine our astonishment when more than a few surveys came back with ratings of 5. And I think it goes to show that even we at ACS can underestimate our impact. Over 50 years, our team of highly skilled, dedicated, and hardworking staff have impacted thousands of kids and families. Because we are a pretty small organization, we have grown a bit over time, but we're still relatively small. One phrase I often use, folks have heard me use this phrase to describe ACS, is small but mighty. So this phrase, small but mighty, was on my mind when I stumbled upon the second resonating fact about the number 50. Did you know that some ants can carry up to 50 times their body weight? This is a fun fact. But I mean, talk about small but mighty. These are ants. But I will say, as soon as I read this, I immediately thought, wow, this is the perfect metaphor to illustrate what our clinicians do every day. They carry enormous weight and responsibility for the struggling kids and families that they serve. And they do so long enough and hard enough to help ease the burden and empower families with the tools, education, and resources they need to forge a better path forward. And while many things may have changed over 50 years, this is not one of them. Children's mental health is a national public health crisis. Provider wait lists continue to range from 6 to 18 months long. The community needs assessments for Cambridge, Framingham, and Lowell each identified access to mental health care as one of the top concerns in each of these cities. Countless studies have shown that children have been profoundly impacted by the pandemic, and there has been a marked increase in the need for urgent mental health care. Our own data bears this out. The number of same-day emergency evaluations ACS staff have conducted has increased by nearly 70%. This is just over the past year. ACS has seen a significant increase in adverse childhood experiences, otherwise known as ACEs, which most folks are familiar with. Last year, 46% of the youth we served had 4 or more ACEs. This is 4 out of 10. That has increased to 62% this year. Now, nationally, only 12% of the population has 4 or more ACEs, only 12%. And further, we saw an increase in 9 out of 10 ACEs, including emotional abuse and physical abuse. All of these indicators serve to reinforce the observations our clinicians have made that the needs of the kids we serve have intensified and cases have become increasingly complex. The impact of trauma relates directly to the urgent mental health needs of high-risk children and teens. Of youth referred to ACS last year, 89% were diagnosed with at least 2 mental health conditions, and almost half had a history of psychiatric hospitalization. ACS clinicians are at the front lines, providing direct mental health care to hundreds of children each year. But we are not just service providers. We are advocates for the children we serve. We listen carefully, home in on their unique needs and strengths, and help them and their families develop a meaningful and realistic plan forward. As ACS turns 50, let us not only celebrate its remarkable journey, but also reaffirm our collective commitment to the mental health and well-being of children and adolescents. I hope for us all to feel inspired, to remember that change is possible, that hope is real, and that healing is within reach. I hope for us all to continue to support organizations like ACS, not just with our words, but with our actions and our resources and our commitment to the well-being of our youth. Together, we can build a brighter, more resilient future for our youth and ensure that every child has the opportunity to heal, grow, and thrive. But our work is far from done. The need for our services continues to grow, and we are determined to rise to the challenges. To do so, we must hire more clinicians, collaborate with more public schools, and extend our reach to more children. And we can do all of these things with your support. All of you can help ensure that ACS is not merely a survivor of time, but a dynamic force for positive change. And it is now my sincere pleasure to introduce Rebecca Pries, ACS's Founding Executive Director.
Thank you. What a great evening. Believe it or not, can you hear? Oh, amen. Believe it or not, ACS's success was not a predictable outcome. We were too unknown, too small a fish in a big, big sea for anyone to have said that ACS would grow and thrive, be a leader, and live to celebrate 50 years. In other words, be a success. This is what we're celebrating tonight, and it feels good. I congratulate everyone in this room and those not here for your help in making this happen. It could not have happened without you. I thank you all for bringing our shared mission to fruition. A mission developed way before it became popular. A mission to perform quality mental health services and all that that means to court-involved children and their families. I especially thank Leah Kelly for taking the position of Executive Director. And continuing our work with such dedicated and talented leadership. She has truly led ACS to grow and thrive. Back in 2018, is that a mere 5 years ago, when I received this award, and it was renamed in my honor, I reminded us of words attributed to Winston Churchill. Granted, his scene was the UK in World War II, while ours was a smaller scale mental health and behavioral health crisis. But the message applies. As I said then, and I say now, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Courage to continue to persevere in the face of adversity and challenge. There are people, so many people along the way who have helped supply and bolster that courage for ACS. We decided back in 2012 to honor such people with an award, which we called the Indispensable Friend Award. You know, those people who have been so indispensable you cannot imagine doing your work without them. You can see on your program today a varied group of people who are the awardees of the past. Tonight, we celebrate Gail Garinger as the indispensable friend of 2023. A word about Gail. Gail and I got to know each other and worked together when she was a justice and then became first justice of the Middlesex County Juvenile Court. Her sensitivity, empathy, and wisdom from the bench, her accessibility, and her knowledge of systems and awareness of kids' mental and behavioral health challenges made a natural connection between her and the ACS juvenile court clinics. More broadly, Gail's inclusivity and generous administrative style created a positive climate of shared goals, dedication to quality service, and high expectations that made the Middlesex Juvenile Court an exemplary court and a very special place to work. Gail and I continued as friends and colleagues after her appointment by Governor Deval Patrick as the very first child advocate for the Commonwealth, a trailblazing position, to be sure. Tonight, on the occasion of ACS's 50th anniversary, it gives me enormous pleasure to present my good friend and stellar colleague, the Honorable Gail Garinger, with this Rebecca Pries Indispensable Friend Award. This award for your extraordinary leadership, dedicated service, and enduring commitment to supporting vulnerable children and families in Massachusetts. So for all of you who are wondering, this says what I have just said.
What I was waiting for Becca to say was, it was those cookies you baked for the attorney's room that really hit the spot, you know? Thank you so much to Becca and Leah and ACS for this honor. And thanks to all of you for joining tonight in celebrating ACS and its 50 years. It's an evening devoted to kids and families in need of help and hope. And what an honor it is to be recognized with the Rebecca Pries Indispensable Friend Award. I love the name of the award. And who's a more indispensable friend than Becca Pries? She envisioned, she founded, and she led ACS for almost 40 years. You've already given her applause, but maybe one more round. I also want to say how honored I am to be sharing the program tonight with Andrea Campbell. We go back to Governor Deval Patrick's office, and it is so thrilling to see her and to be waiting to listen to her tonight. And now I'd like to say a few words really about ACS and the help and hope it offers. I first became aware of ACS back in the late 70s when I was an attorney at Children's Hospital in Boston, but I didn't really have any direct contact with ACS at that point. But then, over the course of 10 years of practicing law in Middlesex and trying to, in addition, raise 3 children at the same time, I became very aware of the incredible expertise that ACS brings to the table. I became aware, and during, of course, my 13 years tenure as a juvenile court judge, of the array of services it offers to court-involved kids and their families. Judges, probation officers, social workers, attorneys, we couldn't have done it and can't do it without you. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't know how I would have made it through those 13 years without the resources that ACS brought to bear. As we know, most of the kids who come to the juvenile court system already have 1 or more strikes against them. Poverty, abuse, neglect, mental health issues, severe family dysfunction, social anxiety, school failure, addiction. But perhaps the overreaching problem, I think, with so many of these kids and families is a sense of hopelessness, a sense that this is just how life is and how life really kind of is going to be, that there is no hope that things can improve, that healing can happen, and that growth can occur, and indeed that they have no hope that it's possible to actually thrive. And this is where ACS plays such an incredibly important role, whether it be through providing same-day emergency mental health or substance abuse assessments, or more in-depth comprehensive diagnostic evaluations, offering individual or group treatment, advocating for services within the community. ACS clinicians meet the child and family where they are, and we try to provide the help that the family and child need to thrive, to heal, to grow, and to thrive. And while I've just pointed out the professional services that ACS provides, I'd like to focus for a minute on something far less tangible. And I look around the room. I don't know many of the current clinicians, but I certainly know the former ones. And during my many years of working with ACS, I've been struck time and time again by the profound humanity and kindness its clinicians and staff demonstrate. They truly care about these kids and families that they serve and about people in general. They believe in the potential of kids to change, and they want to do what they can to disrupt some people refer to the prison, I think it's more the cradle to prison pipeline, and to prevent kids from entering the adult justice system, correctional system, get them on the path to lead productive lives. A friend once said to me, "You can't help everyone, Gail, but you never know who you can help until you've given it your all." And that's what ACS is about, giving their all, providing help and hope. Shortly after I was appointed First Justice in Middlesex, I gave a Christmas holiday gift of a blue mug. Now, there are a few of you in the room who may remember this. It was a holiday gift filled with goodies. You know, I think I may have even baked a few cookies for those mugs. But the words on the mug, in addition to Middlesex Juvenile Court, are, "We do it for the kids." And some of you might have the mug. I still have mine. These are words that rang so true in 2002, and perhaps they ring even truer today. In closing, I just want to say that ACS really does do it for the kids. They do it for their families. They do it for all of us as a community, and they do it for society. I believe that ACS fully embraces and embodies the sentiment expressed by Maya Angelou when she said, quote, "Each child belongs to all of us, and they will bring us a tomorrow in direct relation to the responsibility we have shown to them." Thank you again.
Thank you, Judge Garinger. We are honored tonight to have Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell with us this evening. In January 2023, she was sworn in to be the 45th Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, pledging to build economic prosperity and stability for all residents, prioritize the mental health and well-being of children, stop cycles of incarceration and violence, and ensure that all people across the state have access to the AG's office, regardless of their zip code, language, or ability. Attorney General Campbell grew up in Roxbury and graduated from Boston Latin School, Princeton University, and then UCLA Law School. After earning her law degree, she worked as a legal services attorney for the Ed Law Project. Judge Blitzman, you made me lose my place. For the Ed Law Project, defending the rights of children and their families. A.G. Campbell served as legal counsel to Governor Deval Patrick, working to improve our education and transportation systems and move forward an agenda of equity across the state. In 2015, A.G. Campbell successfully ran for the Boston City Council, becoming the first woman to represent District 4. In 2018, she was unanimously elected City Council President, the first Black woman to hold the title. Please join me in welcoming Attorney General Andrea Campbell to the stage.
We were testing these.
Is it working? Oh, okay.
They have great sound systems here.
Yes, excellent. Seamless. Well, A.G. Campbell, thank you so much for making the time, and it is making the time because you don't have a lot of it, to join us this evening. Throughout your career, it is clear that you have been a staunch advocate for children. This remains a primary focus in your role as Attorney General, and it is also what ACS has done for 50 years, specifically focusing on kids who are court involved. In recent years, we have seen a substantial increase in anxiety and depression in children and adolescents. How have you been able to prioritize child mental health in your role as the Attorney General?
I say this every event I go to. I always start from a place of gratitude. So thank you, Leah, for your leadership and for your work. Thank you to the staff who probably should have gotten that standing ovation, not me. So if you could give, exactly, God bless you. The woman in the back. It's the staff of the organization, to the board for your work and leadership. Rebecca, it's great to see you for your leadership. And Gail, it's like a dear friend. We're in love. We were hanging out, literally. And you can have all the wine you want. You deserve it. But just congratulations to you, and thank you for your leadership. And I'm delighted to be here with some former colleagues. I care deeply about this work of not just addressing issues affecting the well-being of youth, and as has been described tonight, the mental health crisis and epidemic we're seeing sort of in Massachusetts, but also in this country, that we have an opportunity to prioritize the well-being of youth. We have a strategic plan coming out soon where you will see that as one of the themes in that strategic plan. And it's not a strategic plan with 50 things on it, and you're like, those people can't do all that, good luck. It really is specific and informed by internal folks, but external, and that theme around well-being of youth is critical to the work ahead. It will also mean that we have to think about not only the role that we can play, but how we partner with other organizations like this to play a role as well. And that includes several different things. In the office itself, we have several tools. Most folks don't know it, so in that strategic plan, we're going to define what those tools are. But our litigation tools, people know those tools. So we're going after social media companies, which are a critical part of this conversation when you think about mental health concerns we're seeing in Massachusetts and this country. And we obviously just announced some of that. And that's a multi-state investigation involving over 40 states. And if you're following anything in this country, everything is just so divisive. But yet here in Massachusetts and other states, we're leading the way on what bipartisan leadership can look like. We're also looking at our grant-making tools, which is significant in how do we fund organizations that are on the ground doing this work of breaking the sort of cradle-to-prison pipeline and prioritizing young people. We're looking at our policy and government tools. And I was talking recently to a few folks in the room about showing up at the State House as the AG and testifying in support of critical pieces of legislation that will also help us deliver. So there's a whole bunch of ways in which we are prioritizing youth. And that is informed by my background personally, but also my work at the Ed Law Project with YAD, CPCS. So here we go. And I have to say one other thing. I am an energy person. I'm also a praying woman. And I came back from Worcester yesterday. We have a regional office in Worcester, New Bedford, and Springfield as well, and our Boston office. We had a Worcester open house celebrating the work that that regional office does. A wonderful event. I get back home and, of course, get the news like everybody else with respect to what's happening in Maine, which continues to be tragic. It is still unfolding. And so another reminder that we can't just talk about prioritizing our young people, even as parents, and I have a mother, 2 boys. We have to do it. And there's a significant role our office can play in this conversation, and we mean to operate with a sense of urgency, working with a group of incredible attorneys and staff. I have that honor and privilege every single day. So we're with you in the fight.
Thank you so much. Yes, you did, and I'm really excited to hear that there's a strategic plan. I think I'm supposed to be working on one of those too, so maybe I can look at but I like that
We'll get together on that.
I'm overdue. But I love that you talk about, not a million things, but really sort of a distilled, meaningful, and realistic strategic plan. That's wonderful. Thank you. As you know, there is a major dearth of qualified mental health providers, particularly those specializing in child mental health and trauma. There are also serious, prolonged staffing concerns within the agencies that are tasked with serving and protecting children. Not asking you to solve this, but I am interested in what your thoughts are on how we can improve access to mental health care and other critical supports for children.
You have a lot of notes. She has a lot of notes. A whole host of ways. Earlier today, I was actually at MCLE. There was a children's hospital and a couple other stakeholders put together a summit on behavioral health services. And so there were a whole host of stakeholders in that space. And I had to, when we talk about young people being affected by this mental health crisis and the need for them to have access to beds and providers that look like them, let's not forget those who are court involved. Let's not forget those who are in DYS and these other spaces. And so I'm always talking about that, which I appreciate about the work that this organization does every single day. I said to the group that I'm in a lot of places where we're talking about what some of the challenges are, of course, including the workforce development shortage. There's a role that we want to play, and I think through our grant-making tool, we've already done that. We have used that tool to fund community-based organizations, particularly outside of Boston, which I think is really important. We forget in Central Mass, Western Mass, outside of 495, these are folks with significant challenge who don't feel like they get the resources they need to address the same challenges that we see in the eastern part of the state. So regional equity is a big deal. But we have that grant-making tool. We can do whatever we want. These are millions of dollars that we have such flexibility around. We did a maternal health grant, first, I think, in the country, to fund community-based organizations tackling that issue. Why can't we do the same here? So we want to continue some of that. I also talked about legislative solutions. I don't have all the answers, but we're at the State House advocating. We, through our appointments, say to the Health Policy Commission, there's some serious leverage and levers that we can pull using that policy and government tool to really effectuate change, even if we don't have all the answers. But someone says, it's about insurance rates and reimbursement rates. Okay, well, what can we do together through that tool to address it? A litigation tool. So I think it's using all of our tools to work in partnership with folks in the community. And I think I said earlier, it's not just for us to talk about the challenge, to talk about the solution, but also what's our strategic plan? In our office, we develop a strategic plan for our office. We're all coming together. What's our universal strategic plan in Massachusetts to solve the behavioral health crisis in the context of children today? I don't know what it is. So we're each kind of siloed, and at some point, someone's going to have to take the lead. I'm not sure who's appropriately situated to do that, to develop that plan and to say, your part is to do this, your part is to do this, your part is to do this. There are some things that AG's office is really damn good at. Some other things, not so much. And so we are saying, and that's why I'm showing up everywhere I can, that we want to be in conversation and partnership. And none of us have time to waste. Another reason why you need a plan, objectives, metrics, goals, and also to make it public. The people we are attempting to serve often don't even know who we are and what we're attempting to do on their behalf. How do we inform them as to what the great things are that are happening already, which would be a big help. Do it in different languages as well. And then, of course, close the gaps as a collective. So we want to be at the table supporting some of those efforts. But I think that's still the challenge that we have to tackle.
I completely agree. And while it could be beyond the scope of maybe what the AG's office is tasked with, as someone whose career really represents just relentless advocacy for kids, like that passion and sort of proven initiative, being a voice at the table, not just your job, but being a voice at the table, I think is really, really important and valuable. So thank you. Back to my notes. And someone has to tell me if I'm going on too long. Okay, thank you. There is this phrase that you have used to describe how you overcame extraordinary adversity, which is turning pain into purpose. I really like this phrase. This to me sounds like an intentional approach to resilience, not simply surviving, but intentionally thriving. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on how we might all nurture this form of resilience in children who are struggling.
That is a really great question.
I
I think there are folks maybe in the room have maybe done studies and academic research to answer this question. Mine would be more subjective. I too love turn pain into purpose. I was speaking from the heart one day. That's what came out. A couple of things. As some of you in the room know my background really well, I grew up in Roxbury and the South End, and if you're from Boston, you have to name every neighborhood you ever lived in. I live in Mattapan now. I went to 5 BPS schools, all of which were excellent, including Latin school, and I go up to Princeton University and UCLA for law school. I was the first in my family to go to college and to, of course, graduate. But what is often not in the bio is when I was 8 months old, my mom died in a car accident going to visit my father, who was incarcerated at the time. My brothers and I bounced around. We were in the foster care system for a little bit with loving relatives. My father gets out of prison when I'm 8, but he would suddenly pass away when I was 19. So I was a sophomore at Princeton. I talked to him one morning. He died the same evening. All of my biological grandparents and parents are deceased. And the tragedy would continue. My twin brother would end up in and out of the prison system and would pass away while in the custody of the Department of Correction when he was 29 as a result of receiving inadequate health care. And my older brother's incarcerated, and that will continue to be in the news. And I have other relatives that are incarcerated as I sit right here. And so I've said a few times that I don't want to just survive. I want to live a joyous and purpose-driven life. I wish I could say I wanted at 8 years old to live that life. No, it was through tragedy that I got to that place, and largely because of my twin brother. I was working in the private sector at the time when my twin brother got sick and ultimately passed away. And I had to take a step back and say, well, what am I meant to do with my life? Why am I here? I'm on this planet to do what? And I was blessed to have an aunt and uncle who were parent figures to me, who planted seeds of faith. I talk about my faith very freely. I am a praying woman. And they planted those seeds, which I went back to as a way to move ahead, to deal with the grief and the trauma. I also believe in talking openly about therapy. And it doesn't mean you have to take any medication, but you need to talk to someone who is not your family member or your friend, who has tools and says, no, this is actually what happened to you. Oh, really? Trauma? What's the effect of that? Oh, who knew? And let me give you some tools to deal with that. And I went later in life. I remember my first therapist was like, did you say this is the first time you've talked to someone? This was post significant loss. And so I believe in that too, in talking about that. So I had all these tools that allowed me to get in a sort of a lane of finding my purpose. And I pray on everything to continue to find that purpose. I surround myself with folks who will bring out the best in me, including my husband, who I love, and God bless him, and my 2 kids, of course, and have been blessed to work with folks in different positions. When I left the private sector and ended up at the Ed Law Project, folks who also inspired me and displayed what you could do with your law degree to make a difference. And so that resiliency was an intentional choice. And I was blessed to have people plant seeds of different tools. So I talk to young people all the time to say, we are not going to eradicate your poverty overnight. We are not going to eradicate your trauma overnight. You may be living with some parents that when I finish my direct service with you, you're going back to who are abusing you. We are not going to be able to deal with all that overnight. But what seeds can we plant in you? I think it's storytelling. I think it's folks being vulnerable in their own struggles with their clients in different ways. I know I did that at the Ed Law Project and made a difference. I know ACS does that. I think it's talking about mental health services and making that available to families. And if you can get the parents, that'll help. But if you can't, just really targeting that. And then schools, the power of education. All 5 of my schools were excellent. And I cannot say that's the case for every school district today, including some of the schools I attended are closed or they're not around anymore. That also is critical because there were a lot of wraparound services I got while in school going through that trauma that made a difference. Sorry, I could go on. That could have been the only question.
That's... I have a lot of notes. You have a lot of words, apparently. No, that's actually very helpful. And your personal story is so powerful, as is your openness about there's no miracles, and overcoming adversity takes hard work. It takes vulnerability, and telling your story gives you power, and it empowers other people to do the same. So I really applaud that, and I just really appreciate that. Thank you.
And I just have to add, the storytelling piece is critical. The story I just shared is not just a story of a black girl or black woman. It's a universal story of struggle and pain and trauma and loss. What's happening in the world right now, what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Ukraine, it's suffering. And if we have the courage to share our stories in an authentic way and to be vulnerable with each other, we might just make a difference in helping other people. And I love to be in spaces, particularly when the room is diverse and you have different backgrounds sharing their stories, because you get to see the commonalities when you maybe walked in with a lot of assumptions. And there's tremendous power in actually being able to do the work effectively, and not just to do it to reduce some stats, but to break cycles of the things that we're seeing. So I just encourage folks in this space, as you go back to your respective communities, not just your home, but in your workplaces, to share your stories and to be vulnerable around some of that, because that's where you develop deep connection, and I think really can have a greater impact in the work because you've built relationships with the people you work with.
Yes, well said. Thank you. I have time for another question. Last one? Okay. Thank you. So my experience working in the prison system taught me a lot about these missed windows of opportunity that could have changed the life trajectories of so many of the incarcerated men and women with whom I worked. Steve Pemberton, familiar with Steve Pemberton? The renowned author and speaker refers to what he calls the lighthouse effect, and how there were key adults in his life who gave him hope, and helped him believe he could overcome the traumas that he had experienced as a child. And from hearing you speak and reading interviews with you, you've identified several lighthouses, you just did tonight, and windows of opportunity that potentially change the trajectory of your life. How would you advise others on how we could act as a lighthouse or create a window of opportunity for children who are facing adversity?
God bless you. That's a big question. A few things. I did have a lot of lighthouses, and I think everyone in this room could be a lighthouse to somebody else. I think it's our responsibility, frankly, as just human beings to do that. And my lighthouses are diverse and of all different backgrounds that you can imagine. Not just my teachers, of course, but my guidance counselors. I was at the Timilty Middle School, my double Dutch coach, the Girl Scout program that started at the Timilty Middle School, but I think it was a ghetto version of the Girl Scouts, because I later learned it was 2 college students who were like, we just wanted to extend this programming to people who didn't know what it was. I was like, well, were you sanctioned by the Girl Scouts? Or you were just making us sell cookies and then taking us to New Hampshire on camping trips? But it still exposed us to other things. But I remember going into Latin school. You could go into an office to get a job. That took me out of Roxbury in the South End to Post Office Square to work with a gentleman who was running a financial services company. He's not only a dear friend, he's a mentor and someone who's invested in my leadership over the years. And we met when I was in middle school, technically middle school, while at Latin school. So you never know the effect you will have on someone, but it only happens when you sort of step out of your comfort zone. But I will also stress this. All of these folks who invested in me would eventually see me as a family member. It wasn't sort of, you're doing a great job, paternalistic, none of that. I'm here to help you kind of thing, and with a sense of judgment or something else. It was eye to eye. I believe in you, and I want to invest in you in some way using the gifts and talents I have and to direct it towards you. So Gail and I talk, she doesn't know, she's planted seeds in me as well. We met when I was at Governor Patrick's office, and at times when it was challenging to push the envelope on issues affecting children, coming from Ed Law, I'm like, we could be doing this, this, and this. And they're like, who are you? You just got here. I'm like, Gail, can we have coffee? So there were folks along the way and continue to be. And like I tell young people, forge ahead in whatever you dream of for yourself, and people will meet you there, people you would never expect, complete strangers. But they can't meet you there if you don't do the work of getting there. You have to want it and go for it. And of course, that includes all of these wraparound services. But I think we each have this ability to do some remarkable things, particularly in this moment in time when folks are so hopeless or feeling hopeless, to offer up different insights, inspiration, and then to share our stories about when we had something difficult happen to us and how we needed to get through that and how we did that. You don't have to have the tools necessarily to describe what you did to overcome something. But there's a lot of tools in our toolkit, and I'll just end with this, because I know I'm holding people back from wine and food. And Gail deserves all the wine. Tell your daughter, you deserve all the wine you want. She's like, Mom, have one glass. Anything you want, Gail. But I just all that's going on in the world. I don't only love my job, if that's not abundantly clear, I love my job, and I take it very seriously, what the office does and the mandate and the responsibility. But as I have to engage, of course, with other AGs, Republicans and Democrats across the country and travel to more conferences, every time I get on the plane to come back to Massachusetts, it's almost like I want to cry, because we are so blessed to live in Massachusetts. We don't have to go to Maine, no offense to Maine, or New Hampshire, or where my husband's from, Vermont. We love Vermont, but we don't have to. They're looking to us. They're jealous of us. You have those healthcare institutions. You have these community-based organizations like ACS doing remarkable work. You have philanthropic community. You have innovation, creativity, the best institutions in the world. And it's like you can't figure out these inequities. You can't figure out how to solve the most entrenched. They're looking to us. We definitely punch above our weight. I want to continue that leadership on behalf of everyone in the Commonwealth. But this is our time and our season to really deliver in remarkable ways and to make sure that even the smaller organizations that people said they don't have a chance, and you were like, yes, we do. Thank you. 50 years. Thank you. That even these organizations that often don't get the attention they deserve for the work they're doing every single day, including ACS, that we have the opportunity to really come together in a more coordinated way, put aside egos, stop duplicating efforts, and really solve some of our most pressing issues. And I think that is the well-being of our young people and our children. Because if not, then why the hell are we here? Sorry. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all, and thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Betsy Shepard. I'm a psychologist at ACS, and I've worked at our Lowell site for almost 13 years. And yes, time flies. Lowell is an exciting city where its history, rooted in the Industrial Revolution, intersects with diverse cultures and communities, and I have to add, amazing food. Lowell's Cambodian American community, estimated at more than 35,000 people, is the second largest in the country. The Angkor Dance Troupe was formed in 1986 by Cambodian refugees of the Khmer Rouge, with the mission to connect communities through the preservation, education, and innovation of Cambodian performing arts. They have performed at the White House and Boston's First Night and have been featured on Taste the Nation with Padma Lakshmi and Boston's City Line. Through its classes and high-quality performances, Angkor Dance Troupe maintains the integrity of Cambodian performing arts and traditions while adapting to societal changes and developing the next generation of dancers, teachers, mentors, and leaders. Please join me in welcoming members of the Angkor Dance Troupe.
Thank you for that incredible performance by the Angkor Dance Troupe. What a beautiful demonstration of Khmer traditions and a tribute to the city of Lowell. Thank you very much for sharing that with all of us. My name is Mike Lafleur. I'm a member of the Board of Directors here at ACS. I'm also an attorney in Boston, and up until June, I was an Assistant Attorney General, proud to serve under Attorney General Andrea Campbell, although most of my tenure I was under now Governor Maura Healey, but AG Campbell was kind enough to let me stick around, which I appreciated. And I also am a former client of this agency. Becca Pries was one of my lighthouses at a crucial time in my life, and that's why I'm proud to serve on this board and to be a contributor to this organization. ACS is changing lives by providing vital mental health services to children and teens in need. In partnership with the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health, our evaluation services are provided at no cost to families. Our treatment and education and advocacy services are also provided at no cost to families and are funded entirely by private dollars. We don't rely on insurance, removing one of the biggest obstacles to care, because we want to ensure that every child can receive the care that they deserve. Our professional services are possible through generous contributions from donors like you and me. Like many of you, I lead a busy life. I'm juggling the demands of my career, my roles as a husband and a father of 2 young children, and trying to find time for myself and my other interests. Time flies, and I'm always seeking ways to make my life a little bit easier. That's why about a year ago, I decided to become become a recurring donor to ACS. Signing up was simple. You can do so online. You can choose to give monthly, quarterly, or annually. For me, it's once a quarter, a commitment that's easy to keep. And one last thing to remember, I understand that becoming a recurring donor may not be the right fit for everyone. And that's absolutely fine. Every donation, regardless of its size or frequency, makes a significant difference in the lives of children in Middlesex County. ACS has tried to make it easy for you to contribute tonight. You can scan the QR codes that are scattered throughout the room, or visit acskids.org/donate. You can donate by credit card, PayPal, Venmo, or with a bank transfer. We do it all. If you prefer to give by check, there are giving envelopes available at the info and registration tables. And there are ACS staff at the door as you exit to collect your donations. Your support in any form means the world to us. ACS is a small organization making a big impact for kids and their families, and it's only possible with your support. Thank you to each and every one of you who has generously donated to ACS, and thank you to those who continue to support us. Whether you have been part of ACS's 50-year history or this is your first introduction to our organization, thank you for being here tonight. Your presence and your support tonight make a difference. Thank you for joining us in celebrating honoring ACS's legacy. Together, we acknowledge that there is still much more we can do to help vulnerable children in the Commonwealth, and you are a crucial partner in achieving that goal. So please help yourself to additional appetizers and a glass of wine before you go. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, and good night.